Hello and welcome back to Emily Cat 176. How are we all? It's Friday. I hope you've all had a good week. They go so quickly, don't they? But anyway, on Fridays I normally talk about books. And the book I'm going to talk about today, I don't know why this came into my mind, this book. And the one I'm talking about is The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. Now, I've never read it before, and of course I've heard about it, because of course Wilkie Collins, he was a contemporary of Charles Dickens, and Wilkie Collins is considered a pioneer of detective fiction. So The Woman in White came out in 1860. And his other one that's an early detective story is The Moonstone, which came out in 1868. But anyway, so the Woman in White, I thought I'll just check to see if Audible has it on their books. Not only did they have it, I could download it to my library straight away without having to pay for anything. So that must be one of the free books they have. So that's what I've done. I've downloaded it, it's in my library, and I'm currently listening. Well, of course, I listen to audiobooks. That's what I'm listening to at the moment. Well, one of the books I'm listening to. I've got about 3 on the go at the moment, but this one, because of course Wilkie Collins was born in 1824 and he died in 1889. He was a contemporary of Charles Dickens, and I have to admit, I do struggle a bit to read Charles Dickens, because back then the stories were sort of put in magazines as like serials, and it's the style of writing. And even with this one, now the one I'm listening to is being narrated by Ian Holm, who of course was a very good English actor. But the style of writing is I think very different to what is done today. And I can even hear that in this novel. But the fact that he was considered a pioneer of detective fiction, really interesting. I think Edgar Allan Poe, didn't he do the Murders of Rue something? Wasn't that considered an early example of detective fiction as well? What was that called? Because of course I like Edgar Allan Poe too as well. But Wilkie Collins, as I said, he was a contemporary of Charles Dickens. And if I like The Woman in White, which came out, as I said, in 1860, and he actually adapted it into a play in 1871. But if I like The Woman in White, I'm going to actually read The Moonstone as well. And of course, The Moonstone came out in 1868. That's another early detective story. But the thing with Wilkie Collins is, if you look into him, they're saying with his writing, you do see a lot of the examples of current crime fiction come out in these stories, that he was the start of it. And the way people write about crime fiction, you know, what they're like it's not just the style of writing, it's how they structure the novels, etc. And this is where apparently a lot of it comes from Wilkie Collins. So yeah, that's what I'm asking. Have you read Wilkie Collins' The Woman in White? I don't know why it just popped into my mind for some reason. That's why I went looking for it, and I don't even really know why. But I've listened to I'm about a third of the way through it. I'll continue on with it. As I said, the style of writing, it's like Dickens. I find it a little, I don't know what word to use, but it is different to how people write today. And as I said, they're not put in magazines as serials, but I think even the big books that Charles Dickens wrote, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they were put into serials. So many chapters one week and then etc. So yeah, that's what I'm asking today. Have you read this novel? The fact that I could download it straight away means it's not out of print. And it's interesting to actually read something that is considered a pioneer for a genre that I really like to read, which is crime fiction. Okay, so that's it for Friday. If you like talking about books and you like talking about films, shows, etc., and music, let's start a conversation. And if you like what I'm doing, please consider subscribing. I am slowly building the channel. Okay, so enjoy your weekend and I'll be back on Monday. Bye.